2001, Microsoft released the original Xbox, not high, but critical acclaim. It was basically another console if you didn't want to go Nintendo, but you're better than the PlayStation game. Needless to say, it did overall pretty well for a first console, selling over 24 million units. Until 2005 rolls around to the release of yours truly, and the Xbox 360. I like this console. It was the sickest thing for a young gager, and also, it was my second option to the Wii.
Yeah, I know it seems dumb, but look at me. Would I not seem like the person who took the Wii over the PS4? But back to the Xbox 360. It blew the other consoles out of the water, besides the Wii, surprisingly. It had a great lineup of games online. Yeah, it had to be paid, but it was great. I'm not the biggest Halo guy, but what I can infer, Halo 3's launch was insane. Like, how could the Xbox 360 fail? It was the best of all time. Like, this was the console. This was console for the best. Well, by the end of Generation 7, Sony said to themselves, we should actually make some good games, said some Sony employee. That person must be the CEO of Earth now. By the end, both consoles nearly sold 100 million units. Xbox did still get beat. However, with Microsoft's knowledge, they can go insane with their next console. The Xbox 720, dazzling graphics that are like real life, games of many, a name that makes sense. This will be the Swiss Army knife of all media forms. Like, how could this go wrong? Damn.
This is unsafe, but the Xbox One, the console that's in a weird way. It's really overrated, but at the same time underrated. Like, there's many good things about it, but it's still so bad. Alright, before we start talking about this, I think we should give some points. For example, its cases are a third way being good, and I might say trying to improve. I think I might just have some.
God, these cases are often good at the same time. I like how they're consistent with a great color with the game logo. The only exceptions are GTA and Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm fine with these. They're out of nowhere enough that they're just neat. But now let's talk about the bad. Why is the logo painted on? It's not a big deal, but since it's painted, it could scratch off, and over years your games will contract a mad, ugly disease. Also, this may just be a personal problem, but the Xbox One case always just felt so cheap to me. Like, why does my Ark game look like this? And I understand it is Ark, so yeah, it is bad. So maybe the case just fits, but just why? My final gripe with the game cases is that why are they just like this? It's usually anything first, then the game. But with the Xbox One, it's just first, then whatever. No, I guess it is understandable. I mean, when you do open up your game, you do get hyped to see the game first, but I don't think anybody was ever like this.
Yeah.
But hey, another point is that the controller with the Xbox One is wicked insane. However, why is it $60? It's literally just a glorified Xbox 360 controller. You f***ing need. The original model kind of looks like NES. It has USB ports.
The Xbox.
Now, look, I have a few categories to place the Xbox One in and why it failed. So let's stop wasting time and get into it. Launch is extreme and says how the life will be of a product. Like Adolf Hitler. When he was born, he said to the doctor, "Use for lazy and smelly." Look how that turned out. The Xbox One launched at a price point of $499 with insanely amazing sales and reception, until they brought it home. Check this out, just like the Xbox 360, the Xbox One had a Kinect, and that sucked.
But Adrian, why is it a big deal that it came with a Kinect? Well, I'll tell you why it was a big deal. You see, originally, the Kinect had to be connected, no pun intended, to the Xbox One at all times. And yeah, that did really suck because, oh man, Davey said Xbox turn off. That means that if you're playing with somebody, their Xbox would pick up that sound and turn their Xbox off. So this is horrible. And two, the thing needed to have the internet hooked up on it at all times. I understand the time. Yeah, nowadays we merely have our internet hooked up. However, you better pay on that expensive ass bill to play some Call of Duty Ghosts. But hey, now's the perfect time to start new things. Just to try and see how they do. I want to do this segment called Consoles I Can Play Used Games at Launch. It's kind of silly, but hey, let's just try it. To start off, we have the GameCube, Wii, PS2, NES, Game Boy, Sega Saturn, Atari 2600, 3DO, the Wii U, Xbox Original and 360, and of course the Magnavox Odyssey. Notice how the Xbox One wasn't on the list?
For a while, God forbid you put any game with the Xbox One that just so happened to be used, and that turned off a lot of players. After a while, they finally stopped these features, and you didn't need the Kinect basically anymore. But it's just insane that it took a while to remove these burden of features. You ever just take a look at a Nintendo console and imagine what it would be like if there was fewer exclusives? Yeah, it's not a lot, like, still, what would you call Nintendo if they had, like, one series and they went better for the third game? You call it Xbox. Look at this. Look at this. This is all the IPs that Microsoft owns. Really, nowadays, only two are used, and sorry, Forza fans, but a game about cars really isn't that special. Unless we're talking cars on GameCube, then I'll give you the slide. And yeah, Halo is still a groundbreaking series, but the original developers, Bungie, stopped developing the games after ODS. But when Microsoft gets a new IP that actually looks somewhat interesting, and you'd have an Xbox console, just wait a year. Ukulele, Cuphead, Super Lucky Tail, amazing games that gave the Xbox One life, are now on the Switch and PS4. For the developers of the game, and I'm glad they could grow to a bigger audience, to Microsoft, why are you letting them go? Like, I understand that consoles aren't supposed to live off one series, that's where there's third parties. But that's the reason why the Xbox is alive, basically. Sure, you get to a game shop, buy an Xbox One, some third-party games, and irrelevancy, or get a PlayStation with said game and asset exclusives, and not be on a watch list.
I just think the Xbox needs something new that isn't going to go to another console within 2 years. Maybe an RPG or something that you don't see much on these consoles, but please, for the love of God, go get a PlayStation.
Just like the human race, every console builds upon itself. Like Tester 2 is based like microorganisms, while the Odyssey is merely official legs. The Atari is a caveman, while the NES finally enters Homo sapien, and the rest just build upon. The Xbox isn't doing so much building. No, look, it's not bad. Like, yeah, there's an obvious jump from the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One, but nothing about this is really screaming that it can't be done on the Xbox 360 just by cheese grading it like Cyberpunk. And trust me, I do understand that this is a pretty powerful console as well. But where's all that power going? Forza? Actually, who am I kidding? The Xbox One does have something cool. A second HDMI port. Mainly for cable, but anything with an HDMI port you can plug in.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, that doesn't really save the Xbox and say how this is better than this. Marketing is the main standpoint in the industry. Nintendo always has the wacky ads. Sony always has their clips of games. And Microsoft, well, they have movies. Look, these ads are phenomenal, but nothing about them really shows the game. I mean, they don't have to be as simple like
Some IDs. It's ad gigas bags. You're gonna pop in Red Dead 2 in your Xbox One for maximum 30.
But they still need that factor. It's always just something crazy modern or a literal movie. Like, the best way I can describe it is the Time Splitters Rewind trailer. They just need some work and they could be good. Now, with all these things, I still like the Xbox One.
Hypocrite.
But there's so many strong suits about the Xbox One. Like, it's a really nice entertainment machine. It's really nice to play movies and TV shows on this, and I don't know if it's because of the VCR look of the first model, but still. Also, this console had wicked sweet design models. There is the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X. And the Xbox One is all digital in case you want to paint some pentagrams tonight. You can also play an Xbox One game on any Windows PC, which might take out the value, but that's still pretty neat. I already talked about the Xbox One controller, as well as the Xbox One having a large number of Xbox 360 games that are backwards compatible with the Xbox One. And also, there are original Xbox games you can play, but that number's in shambles currently. There's Xbox Game Pass, which is really neat. Now the Forza demo.
All in all, I'm glad the Xbox ran its course, and I hope for future Microsoft consoles that they fix their issues that they did with the Xbox One. However, this is kind of cramping my style. I just need to see it. Okay, to be fair, if the Xbox One could do that out of box, this would be the first console to sell 1 billion models.